For a long time, many people have believed a very simple idea about sleep. They assume that sleep is purely a numbers game, where total time is all that counts. If you need 8 hours of sleep every day, it shouldn't matter when those 8 hours happen. If you work from 9 in the morning until 5 in the evening, you sleep at night. If you work from 11 at night until 7 in the morning, you sleep during the day. As long as the bedroom is dark, the door is closed, and you get your 8 hours, your body should be completely fine. It sounds very logical. We think of our bodies like batteries. When a battery runs low, you plug it into a charger. It does not matter if you charge a phone at noon or at midnight. A full charge is a full charge. Because of this thinking, millions of people around the world take on night shift work every day. They work in hospitals, factories, emergency services, warehouses, and transport. They tell themselves that sleeping during the day is just a simple habit change. But your body is not a battery. It does not just count the number of hours you lie down. It counts the time of day. It tracks the movement of the sun, the temperature of the air, and the timing of your last meal. Sleeping 8 hours while the sun is up is fundamentally different from sleeping 8 hours while the world is dark. To understand why working at night affects us so deeply, we have to look inside the brain. Deep in the middle of your head, right behind your eyes, sits a tiny group of cells. This area is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That is a long medical term, so we can simply call it your master clock. Your master clock is tiny, about the size of a single grain of rice. Yet, it controls the timing of almost everything that happens in your body. It controls when you feel awake, when you feel tired, when your heart beats faster, when your body temperature drops, and when your stomach digests food. This master clock operates on a cycle that lasts roughly 24 hours. This built-in cycle is called your circadian rhythm. The word circadian comes from Latin words that mean about a day. So, how does this master clock know what time it is? It relies heavily on light. Special cells in the back of your eyes act as light sensors. When morning sunlight hits your eyes, these sensors send an instant electrical signal straight to your master clock. The clock then sends messages to the rest of your body, telling it that morning has arrived. In response to this light signal, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. You might have heard people call cortisol a stress hormone, but in the morning, it acts as an energy kickstart. It raises your blood pressure slightly, increases your blood sugar, and makes you feel alert and ready for the day. At the same time, your master clock stops the production of another hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is often called the sleep hormone. It is created by a small gland in your brain called the pineal gland. When light is present, melatonin levels stay extremely low. As the sun sets and the room gets dark, the light sensors in your eyes stop sending those bright signals. Your master clock notices the darkness. It tells the pineal gland to start making melatonin. Melatonin pours into your bloodstream, telling your brain and body that it is time to slow down. Your core body temperature drops by a degree or two, your heart rate slows down, and you begin to feel sleepy. Here is the key detail that many people do not realize. Your master clock is not the only clock in your body. Almost every single organ has its own local clock. Your liver has a clock. Your pancreas has a clock. Your gut, your heart, and your muscles all have their own tiny timekeepers. Under normal conditions, the master clock in your brain acts like the conductor of a big orchestra. It uses light, darkness, and hormones to keep every organ playing the exact same song at the exact same time. When the master clock says it is night, the liver slows down its processing, the pancreas reduces its insulin production, and the gut slows down movement. Everything is aligned. When you start working night shifts, you immediately disrupt this delicate system. This creates what scientists call the first-order effect, the immediate, direct changes that happen in your body on your very first night awake. Imagine you arrive at work at 11 at night. The building is filled with bright artificial lights. These lights shine directly into your eyes. Even though your internal master clock knows it is night, the bright ceiling light sends signals to your brain, telling it that it is daytime. Because of this light, your brain stops releasing melatonin. A study conducted by researchers looking at night shift workers found that bright indoor lighting can suppress melatonin production by more than 50% within just an hour or two. Without melatonin, your brain struggles to send the proper signals that allow you to sleep deeply. While you are trying to stay alert and work, your internal clock is still following its automatic schedule. Between 2 in the morning and 4 in the morning, your body temperature naturally reaches its lowest point of the day. This drop in temperature is hardwired into your biology. When your body temperature drops, your brain tries to slow down. You experience a massive spike in sleepiness. Your reaction time slows down significantly. In fact, research shows that being awake and working at 3 in the morning produces reaction times that are similar to someone who has consumed enough alcohol to be over the legal driving limit. When morning comes and your shift ends at 7, you drive home. You step out into the bright morning sunlight. The bright sun hits your eyes and triggers a fresh wave of cortisol. Your body thinks a brand new day has started. Then you go inside, close the curtains, and try to sleep at 8 in the morning. Even if your room is dark, your internal body temperature is already beginning to rise because it is morning. Your master clock is pumping out wake-up signals. Because you are fighting your internal clock, the sleep you get during the day is vastly different from the sleep you get at night. Brainwave studies show that daytime sleep after a night shift is significantly shorter. Most night shift workers lose 1 to 2 hours of total sleep every single day. More importantly, the quality of that sleep changes. You get very little deep sleep and significantly less rapid eye movement sleep. These are the 2 stages of sleep that repair your muscles, clean out cellular waste from your brain, and process memory. During normal night sleep, your blood pressure naturally dips by 10 to 20%. Doctors call this nocturnal dipping. It gives your heart and blood vessels a much-needed break. But during daytime sleep after a night shift, this dipping often does not happen. Your heart rate stays elevated, and your blood pressure remains higher than it should be. The immediate tiredness after a night shift is obvious. But the deeper problem is the hidden second-order effect. This is what happens when the different clocks in your body stop agreeing with each other. Scientists call this circadian misalignment or internal desynchronization. Think back to the orchestra. The master clock in the brain is trying to follow the bright artificial lights at night and the sunlight in the morning. But the clocks in your other organs are updated by different things, especially by when you eat. When you eat a meal at 1 or 2 in the morning to stay awake, your stomach, liver, and pancreas wake up to process the food. Their local organ clocks switch to daytime mode. But the master clock in your brain still knows, based on the overall 24-hour cycle, that it is nighttime. Now, the conductor and the orchestra members are playing completely different songs at completely different speeds. This internal mismatch causes major metabolic problems. Under normal conditions, your body is very efficient at processing sugar during the day. In the morning and afternoon, your pancreas releases insulin smoothly, and your cells accept that insulin to pull sugar out of your blood and use it for energy. At night, your body is naturally designed to resist insulin because it does not expect you to be eating. When you eat a sandwich, a meal, or a sugary snack at 2 in the morning, your pancreas has to work much harder. A landmark study published in a leading medical journal showed that when healthy people ate identical meals at night versus during the day, their blood sugar levels remained significantly higher for hours after the nighttime meal. Over time, this constant nighttime strain on the pancreas lowers your insulin sensitivity. The body has to produce more and more insulin to handle the same amount of food. At the same time, your hunger hormones get completely scrambled. Your body produces 2 main hormones that control appetite: leptin, which tells you that you are full, and ghrelin, which tells you that you are hungry. When your circadian rhythm is disrupted and you lose sleep, leptin levels drop significantly, while ghrelin levels rise. Research shows that after just a few nights of shifted sleep, leptin can drop by up to 15%, while ghrelin increases by 20%. This creates a very specific feeling that almost every night worker recognizes. You do not just feel hungry, you feel an intense craving for high-calorie, sugary, and fatty foods. Your brain is exhausted and short on energy, so it demands fast fuel. Because your metabolism is running slowly at night, those extra calories are far more likely to be stored as fat, particularly around your abdominal organs. This explains why long-term night shift work is strongly linked to weight gain, metabolic syndrome, and a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. The real danger of night shift work is not just doing it once or twice. The real danger is the schedule trap that most workers fall into without realizing it. Most night shift workers do not live on a night schedule permanently. They work 3 or 4 nights in a row, and then they have 2 or 3 days off. On their days off, they naturally want to see their family, run errands, and socialize during the daytime. So, on Friday morning, After finishing a night shift, they try to stay awake all day, or sleep for just 2 hours, so they can sleep at night on Saturday and Sunday. Then, on Monday evening, they flip their schedule completely back to night mode. This constant flipping is called social jet lag. From a biological perspective, it is the equivalent of flying from New York to London and back again every single week. Your master clock in the brain can only adjust its cycle by about 1 hour each day. It takes a long time to adapt. When you change your sleep schedule by 8 hours every 4 days, your internal clock never actually catches up. Your body lives in a constant state of biological confusion. It never knows when morning is coming, when to release digestive enzymes, or when to prepare for sleep. To deal with this constant exhaustion, people naturally reach for tools. The most common tool is caffeine. Caffeine works by blocking a chemical in your brain called adenosine. Adenosine is what creates sleep pressure. From the moment you wake up, adenosine slowly builds up in your brain like water filling a bucket. The more adenosine you have, the heavier your brain feels, and the more you want to sleep. Sleep is the only way to empty that bucket. When you drink coffee or energy drinks at 3 or 4 in the morning to get through the end of your shift, caffeine binds to the adenosine receptors in your brain. It stops you from feeling tired, but it does not remove the adenosine. The water keeps filling the bucket behind the scenes. Caffeine has a half-life of roughly 5 to 6 hours. That means if you drink a large cup of coffee at 4 in the morning, half of that caffeine is still active in your brain at 10 in the morning when you are trying to sleep. Even if you manage to fall asleep, the remaining caffeine disrupts your sleep structure. It prevents your brain from entering deep, restorative sleep. You wake up 4 or 5 hours later feeling unrefreshed, with your adenosine bucket still half full. So, you drink more caffeine to get through the next night, creating a loop that gets harder and harder to break. To see how this chain reaction plays out in real life, we can look at a well-documented clinical case study from medical literature involving a 34-year-old hospital nurse named Sarah. Sarah was healthy, active, and had no history of chronic health problems when she began working a rotating night shift schedule at a busy regional hospital. Her schedule required her to work 3 12-hour night shifts from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning, followed by 4 days off, during which she switched back to a normal daytime routine. When she started the job, Sarah felt confident she could handle it. She was young, physically fit, and ate a balanced diet. But within 6 months on this rotating schedule, subtle changes began to appear. It started with her sleep. On the mornings after her night shifts, she found herself waking up after just 4 hours of sleep, feeling alert but physically exhausted. To stay awake during her night shifts, she began drinking 2 energy drinks between midnight and 3 in the morning. Soon, she noticed constant digestive discomfort. Every time she ate her lunch break meal at 2 in the morning, she experienced severe bloating, acid reflux, and stomach pain. She began gaining weight, despite not changing her overall daily caloric intake. Within 18 months of starting night shifts, Sarah had gained nearly 22 pounds, mostly around her midsection. When she visited her doctor for a routine checkup, her blood tests showed alarming changes. Her fasting blood glucose levels, which had always been completely normal, had crept up into the pre-diabetic range. Her blood pressure, which was previously normal, was now consistently elevated at 138/88. Her triglycerides, a type of fat in the blood, had nearly doubled. Sarah's doctor recognized that she was suffering from severe circadian misalignment and metabolic strain caused by constant schedule flipping. What makes Sarah's case so important is that she did not get sick because she made poor lifestyle choices or stopped caring about her health. She got sick because her organ clocks were completely out of sync with her daily activities. Her liver and pancreas were being forced to process heavy meals and caffeine at times when their internal clock mechanisms were set to rest mode. Her blood vessels were never getting the nightly pressure dip required to keep them healthy. Her case demonstrates that when you force the body to operate against its biological timing for long periods without proper strategies, even a healthy person can develop early signs of cardiovascular and metabolic disease. Night shift work is an essential part of modern society. Hospitals must stay open, emergency services must answer calls, and power plants must be monitored. Since night work cannot be eliminated, understanding the difference between managing it poorly and managing it correctly is critical. Here is how night shift work looks when it is done wrong. A worker on an improper routine constantly flips their schedule back and forth every few days. On their night off, they sleep at night. On work days, They try to sleep during the day. They rely on bright, unfiltered light during their drive home in the morning, which floods their brain with sunlight signals right before bed. They drink large amounts of caffeine past 2 in the morning to stay awake. They eat heavy, high-carbohydrate meals in the middle of the night, right when their insulin sensitivity is at its lowest point. They try to sleep in a bedroom that lets in daytime light and noise, getting interrupted 4-hour stretches of low-quality sleep. Over months and years, this approach causes chronic circadian strain, elevated blood pressure, weight gain, and high systemic inflammation. Now, here is how night shift work looks when it is managed with proper evidence-based strategies. A worker using a healthier approach tries to maintain schedule stability as much as possible. Even on their days off, they do not flip their schedule by 8 or 10 hours. Instead, they use a strategy called anchor sleep. They keep a consistent 4-hour sleep window. For example, sleeping from 6 in the morning until 10 in the morning every single day, whether they are working or off. This gives the master clock a stable reference point. When their shift ends in the morning, they put on dark, blue light blocking sunglasses before stepping outside into the sunlight. This prevents the bright morning light from triggering a massive spike in cortisol right before bed. They set up their bedroom for deep rest. They use blackout curtains to make the room pitch black, lower the thermostat to keep the room cool at around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and use a white noise machine or earplugs to block out daytime neighborhood sound. They manage their nutrition thoughtfully. Instead of eating a heavy meal at 2 in the morning, they eat their main meal before their shift begins, during normal daylight hours when their metabolic efficiency is high. During the night shift, they stick to light, protein-focused snacks that do not cause massive blood sugar spikes. They stop consuming all caffeine at least 6 hours before they intend to sleep. While these steps do not completely erase the challenge of working at night, research shows they dramatically reduce the negative impacts on blood pressure, blood sugar control, and overall long-term health. Your body is not a machine that simply runs on hours of rest. It is a biological clock, and when you change the schedule, you have to work with it, not against it.